Why don't I have more prospects? Well, probably because you suck at marketing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Perfect RIA Podcast. I'm your co-host, Matthew Jarvis, and with me is Micah Shalansky. And for those of you watching us on YouTube, hopefully not while you're driving, you can see that we're actually in Micah's office in his recording studio. So, Micah, it's fun to be doing this in person.
Jarvis, what a pleasure it is, right? Most of the time we don't get a podcast done when we're together.
No, we don't.
Not, even though we get together frequently. It's more of the distance thing, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's really talking about not our upcoming power session that we have, but something as we both come out of Surge, we're reviewing other advisors because our Invictus members have a great benefit. They can send us a recording of one of their meetings and we're going to go through it. Now, not very many want to take us up on that offer, right? And there's a lot of ego involved in that. And I got to say, just for myself, I don't like it when my coach reviews my videos.
Sure.
So I totally get that. But the ones that we see, it's amazing because we can talk with advisors and we can really start seeing a transformation take place from when we review that meeting and video to the coaching that we have happen afterwards and going through and like the little things that has to be there, right?
It is. And in the opening quote for this episode, we said the reason you don't have prospects is because your marketing sucks. And while that's sort of fun and that may or may not be true, I'm going to argue, Micah, strenuously that the reason you don't have more prospects is you're not putting in the reps.
Yes.
And I was going to say you're not putting in the right reps, but you're probably just not putting any reps in general once we back out playing office.
Yeah. Once you back out playing office, you're not putting any in to begin with. In addition to that, how easy it is to get set up where we want to do a video, we want to do content, we want to be able to do something, but we're going to wait for the perfect question. Because once I get the perfect question, I'll be able to do that. And then, you know what, the lighting is slightly off, you know what, the sound quality, the mics, it took too long to get set up. I'm going to worry about that later. The audio is not there, right? We come up with all of these reasons why not to take a step forward.
You know, funny story on that, Micah. My son, Calvin, who's 11, came up to me one day and he says, Dad, I want you to listen to a podcast. And he put on the Joe Rogan podcast or something. And the sound quality was perfect. Perfect sound quality. He says, Dad, I want you to listen to your podcast with you and Micah. And the sound quality is not quite as good. And he says, Dad, you really need to up the sound quality. And it was a great time to teach him and myself and all the advisors that sure, we could improve the podcast by 1%, maybe 2% by having these things in place. But if we don't record the podcast, none of that actually matters. Same with prospecting. I talk to advisors that say, Jarvis, I talk to my centers of influence. I talk to my CPAs. I'm not getting any referrals. Cool. How many times did you talk to them? Well, I emailed them one time.
Okay, that doesn't even count as talking, just to be clear. All right.
Yeah. Newsflash, that's not putting in the reps. I talk to my centers of influence every quarter, all of the ones in the area for quarter after quarter, year after year, and then I was able to develop a very solid stream of referrals. It wasn't a one and done type of thing.
Yeah, just like any type of marketing, any type of activity, any type of reps, like working out. I did one sit-up. I don't know why I don't have a six-pack, right? And then once the six-pack comes, then I'm going to start doing more sit-ups to make sure I keep it. How's that going to work out for me? The same thing with marketing, which is right here. And this is a long-term game, and we're always focused on that silver bullet, right? We want that silver bullet. We want a solution that's going to fix the problem today, but we're really not playing the long game. And as financial advisors, this is all about the long game.
Yes, it is.
Right? It's about creating that system, creating that process in place to continue to get things. So Jarvis, let's call out some of those playing office things. I'm going to tell you one of my pet peeves.
Please.
That's out there. Website redesign.
Yes.
Just irritates the crap out of me.
Now, you've never fallen guilty to that yourself, have you?
Oh yes. It irritates me.
I've done it a few times.
Because guilty here of doing it, right? But once I redesign my website, now I can start marketing. Once I come up with the perfect OBA name, now I can start marketing. Once I leave my BD because they won't let me do anything and I'm an RA, now I can start marketing. That's all crap. Just crap, right? And we've seen that proven wrong time and time again.
Now let's turn this from a slightly different lens. Sometimes it helps me to look at this from another angle. Imagine that a client comes into you, a prospect comes to you, and they say, hey, listen, I haven't saved any money yet, but if I could just have $1 million by next week, that would be great. What are you going to tell me? You're going to say, that's impossible. And they say, but if I buy cryptocurrencies, if I do this, what can I do? And as advisors, that's what we're often guilty of. What no-rep activity can I do and magically have a multi-million-dollar practice that other advisors spent hundreds of thousands of reps building? So watch for that language yourself. Where can I do one sit-up and get perfect abs? Where can I make one email and suddenly get all of the clients? It doesn't exist. The hard way is the only way.
You know what's so funny? When we say like the hard way, right? Not to pick on
this. Please.
But the hard way really isn't hard. It's getting uncomfortable. Yes. That's the hard way. So mentally, it's going to be taxing. These aren't very big physical things. Let's give a quick example of content creation video. So during Surge, I made a commitment on the TPR side. I was going to do a content video every single day of Surge. And so we did that, right? Which is great. And then I was like, you know what? I'm in the habit of doing these videos. I'm going to start doing them for retirement tax services. I'm also going to do videos for PYFR. I'm also going to do videos for Shalansky. And so we produced a ton of video content in that period of time. I was talking to another advisor, and I said, hey, same thing. You're in Surge. You're meeting with clients. You have the energy high because you're meeting with clients. You're having great experiences. You're getting their questions. It's coming right out of their mouth. So when you get a question, go in and just pick up your iPhone and do a video. By the time his time got all done, he got 7 videos done in his Surge cycle, which is great.
Yeah, better than 0.
Better than 0. But I got 60 done in that same time period, and our Surge was the same. Because now I went back and chatted with him. Oh, the lighting was off. Oh, this was off. It wasn't the right question. I'm like, whoa, if the client asked it, it was the right question, right? If that's your niche. So we often make so much, sorry, I'm going to rant on this.
No, I'm with you.
But we often make so many excuses why not to start.
By the way, you can see those videos if you go to the Perfect RA LinkedIn's page and follow that. You can see those videos, and you'll notice that it's Micah with his iPhone in selfie mode walking through the office. And you just got to get those reps, and you can't shortcut it. There's just not. And every time I see an advisor saying they shortcut it, or some industry expert saying, boy, if you charge a flat fee instead of an AUM fee, you'll magically shortcut all that hard work. That just doesn't exist. The best practices take reps, content creation, crank out those reps day after day, week after week.
Yeah, content creation, COIs, networking events, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you're going to do, and I think it should be more than one, right? More than one, not more than 3. That's kind of where I would put that parameter, because otherwise you're too sprinkled in this. But it has to be consistent, and you've got to make the commitment to put those reps in.
Mike, I'd also say that you have to measure it, whatever it is, and you have to measure input, not output. The output will come, and there's a time to analyze, are these videos effective? Is a podcast effective? Is there a click-through? But you need to measure your input. How many times are you actually calling centers of influence? How many videos are you actually creating and posting? How many events are you actually going to? Mike, I remember for a long time in my career, I would sit at my desk and I would just think, there's got to be a way, and I would spend all my day trying to will clients into existence. But then if you ever looked at my numbers, there was just no reps being put in.
No activity.
And then magically, once I started doing reps, then the output came.
That's so magic. Like, I don't think it's correlated at all.
It couldn't be.
Doing work and getting progress is definitely not correlated, but magic. We'll go to that. George, let's talk about another angle of this, which is our mental focus.
Yes.
Right? So putting reps in, there's got to be a couple of categories, and we got to be careful in this because this can easily fall into playing office standpoint. But before I have a COI meeting, but before I go into Surge, right? Because it could have been a couple months or even a month before I've been in a Surge for a mini Surge, I'm going to practice my meetings in advance. Even after doing this for 22 years now, right? I am still going to practice things in advance. Now, what I define practice isn't thinking about my meeting. It's saying it out loud, right? It's going into client mode. It's putting on a suit. It's walking into my conference room. It's bringing up Zoom, whatever that environment is, and actually going through what I'm going to say to a COI, to a prospect, to a client. This is super important because I don't want to practice on a client. And I know this is how, but it happens all the time.
It does, constantly. Now, if you don't know what to practice, Mike, I remember years saying, what am I going to say to it? I didn't know what to practice. This is where, and we stress this all the time, you need to find someone who has the practice that you want. I remember when I first met Tom Gowan, now he's doing things for us with the Perfect RA, speaking at one of our events. He's recording content for us. It's phenomenal. Then I would say, great, what would Tom Gow say in this meeting? What would Micah say in this meeting? What would Jarvis say in the meeting? Find that video, rehearse it, and practice that and be ready. Put it in your own words, right, Micah? You say things in your way, I say them in mine. Put them in your own words, but practice that. And if you don't know what that is, practice somebody else's.
So one of the things my dad taught me years ago when it was building this out, because I couldn't figure out what were my own words, right? And he said, stop figuring out your own words. Say it exactly the way I say it until you know it, until you live it, until you breathe it in a practice session, then morph it into your words. So if you're having an issue with that, because that's an issue that I had, great, no, I just said it the exact same way. Felt weird, felt off, because it was his language versus mine. But I had to start somewhere. And then once I got really good at that, then I could start pivoting out to my style.
The other advantage of doing that is when you're learning these things, there's so many nuanced things that you don't pick up on. Micah, you and I were in a meeting yesterday with an advisor on the call, and he wasn't reading our body language of, hey, we already know what you're talking about. Stop talking. And this happens all the time with clients. Hey, the client has now folded their arms. They're leaning back. They're fidgeting. They're looking around. They have stopped listening. And so to your script, they pull out their phone.
Yeah.
Well, you're committed to your script. You're missing all of these things. So there's things that Micah and I do, that top advisors do, how we hold our body, how our hands move, how we gesture, who we're looking at, where my head is at. All of these little things make such a difference. And they're things that the quote-unquote experts miss. When they write an article and say, here's what you should say, maybe that script works, but does it work better if you lean in or lean out? Does it work better if you precede it by a joke or follow it by a serious comment? These things matter.
Super matter. We could go on so many tangents on this, right? Your Zoom meeting. Do you know your frames, right?
Yes.
Which is super important. When I'm telling a story, I will stay inside my frames. And if I accidentally go outside of a frame, I'll say, oh, I'm sorry, apparently I didn't pay attention where my frame was. And I'll re-explain it, but I'm going to make a joke about that, showing I'm very deliberate about staying inside of this to deliver that great experience to a client. Because hands communicate a lot. We do a whole session on this, right?
Oh, totally.
Hands communicate a lot in body language. And if all of a sudden my hands are hidden from view, it just now looks suspicious, right?
I was going to say it looks suspicious.
It looks really weird, right? So hands being visible even on Zoom calls are so important. But are you practicing that?
Okay, Micah, let's get back into reps to count. So let's give some examples of these reps. Reps could be videos created every day, could be podcasts. Please,
Could I pause real
yeah,
fast?
please back this
Right?
out.
So when reps to count, we want to measure success in something that we can control.
Yes.
Right? So if we say, well, my reps don't count unless a client hires me, and this is the camp I was in for a long time. But the problem is I have so much head trash around that because I don't make that final decision. Now, it sounds a little bit defeatist talk because if I add so much value at some point, they should hire me. But we want to build these reps where it's you are successful. It's 100% in your control to get these done.
That's a good reminder. So hacks on that. When I used to do a lot of networking events, I try to solve for a rep that I could win, because there wasn't this podcast, by the way, to listen to back then. So I would, Micah, solve for the number of people I said hello to. So if you see me at a conference, you'll see me working in the group and I'm talking to people and I'm telling jokes. That was not always me. So I would keep a tally in my pocket of the number of people I just said hello to, not even hello, Micah, how are you doing? Would you like a second opinion? No, just how many people did I look eye contact with and say hello to, so that I knew I could control it. I knew I could leave with 10 hellos. If I went and said I need 3 business cards, I can't control that. I leave with 1, I feel defeated, I quit, I don't come back.
I love it. And that's measurable.
Yes.
Right? So not only you created something that was inside your control, but something you could measure that now we could go back and say, great, when have I mastered this and when can I move on to that next thing? All right, so what type of rep should we practice?
Well, I got to say real quick on this measuring thing. Micah, you and I always, when we do masterminds with advisors, we're doing extreme accountability, we go through this exercise where we look at your calendar, and advisors tell us every time, I have no time to do this. And then we do some quick math. How many clients do you have times how many hours? Cool, what are you doing with the other 1,000 hours of the year? We've done episodes on this. This counts for your reps. If I ask you how many COIs have you talked to, you're going to say, oh, I've talked to 27. Cool, just write down their names for me really quick. And you get 3 names. 3 is not 27. So don't let yourself fall into the trap of busy work of, yeah, I've done the reps, why isn't it working? 99 times out of 100, the reason is you're not doing the reps. The 1 time out of the 100 is you're doing the reps, but somebody needs to fine-tune it for you.
Now, one of the hacks that I need to do for myself even today is third-party accountability, right?
Yes.
Now, if it's light stuff, then Victoria is going to be, I'm not going to say, kind of my accountability partner, right?
Sure.
I'm going to tell her I'm going to do these things, and she's going to follow up on these, right?
Yes.
Now I know I have a meeting with her on Wednesday, and if I don't have these things done, she's going to ask me about it, right? So now I'm not doing my job, which is delaying her from doing hers. So for me, that's motivation. If that's not enough, then I bring in extreme accountability over here.
That's right.
And we put some bigger dollars about it to make it move forward. But we also got to solve for what makes us work. And if I know if I can delay a task forever, I'm going to delay a task for a long time. I got to put another forcing mechanism in there.
You've also got to know yourself what's going to keep you from doing reps. So if content creation is your jam and you know that every time I turn my computer on, the first thing I do is read the Wall Street Journal and go to LinkedIn and make social media posts about being a flat fee advisor, you need to stop doing that. So you need to do content creation get a burner iPhone and record from that has no internet access. Look for what's distracting you. It's so easy to be distracted from putting in those reps. You have to view those things like the plague.
Absolutely. So reps are something that you can measure and something that you can control that you want to do. And then how many of these things do you need to do, right? And what are the different evolutions of this? So I'm going to say, great, I'm going to practice if I'm doing a seminar, I'm going to practice it so many times I get to X level, right? Before I'm going to present that seminar. Now, I'm still going to market it beforehand, but now I have a date on how many times that I need to practice this event. And when I practice it, I'm going to have the office there. They're going to listen to the seminar. I'm going to have an audience that's going to be there, right? It's going to start internally, then it's going to start with the script, then it's going to have an audience, and then when we go live, or I'm going to show up in advance, and I'm going to practice it again before any of the guests show up, right? So I'm going to have multiple reps of practice for one little event. Then that's for a seminar, but I also want to do the same thing on my COIs.
Yeah, and Micah, that's wildly uncomfortable to do. Yeah, we talked about how Invictus members can always send us in their videos and not many do because it's wildly uncomfortable. Practicing in front of your team, wildly uncomfortable. Practicing in front of your spouse, in front of your kids, all wildly uncomfortable. That's what differentiates the top advisors from the advisors that just dream about having a great practice. We do the things that are incredibly uncomfortable to do. So on centers of influence, right? How many centers of influence have I called out to? How many times am I calling them, not emailing, not sending them a letter? How many times a year am I calling them? My ideal is at least quarterly. How many of them are there? How wide is my radius? All of those things, I'm going to count those reps. I'm going to practice it again and again.
So if I had to pick up and start calling COIs, because this isn't something that I do, right? I have a couple that I work with, but it's not a niche I'm going to do. So here's the way I would think about it for my own hack. So you give me some feedback here live. Is I would want to put a process around it, not a playing office process. Right now I'm pointing my finger at you, sorry. But you're not a playing office process where I'm not going to do this, but about saying, okay, great, how many COIs do I need to call? What's my follow-up? And for me, it's like, oh crap, why am I going to call them? All right, I need to be able to add massive value to them, not to me. So what's a way that I could do that? Okay, great. I could be interviewing them for potential referrals for my clients, right? Maybe I have a complex tax question that I want to get their opinion on, right? I learned about this new thing with Tom Gadd with sprinkling provisions, and now I'm interviewing CPAs because I want to get their insight on how sprinkling provisions work inside of an IRA trust. Okay, great, right? Now I can go to them with some integrity on my end and say, no, I really have this question. What am I going to do? And I'm going to get their value and I'm going to pay for their time.
Totally.
So I would feel like solid with integrity about that, and then showing a little bit what we do in our practice in that meeting.
Yeah, what I have to do to make that work is then I put that list, you're talking about very simple, I print it on a piece of paper, name, telephone number, a couple places for check boxes. I set it on my desk each night before I go home, and in the morning I don't turn my computer on until I've made however many of those calls. Because I know I'm going to turn my computer on, I'm going to check an email, I'm going to call a client, I'm going to play office, and then the day goes by, the week goes by, the month, the year goes by, and I haven't done the reps. So figure out when it is that you're going to do those reps and make it happen.
I love it. Whether that's cold calling, just so guys that cold called. Yeah. Whether that is the COI aspect of it, right? Whether it's calling clients on for the referral side, whether it's content marketing, whether it's booking venues for seminars or speaking gigs, right? Yeah. All that same concept. It's that eat that frog, right, from Brian Tracy. Is I love that first thing in the morning. This is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to conquer and get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, again, if you're not sure what reps, if you're saying, great, I get it, I need to do the reps, I need to do my sit-ups, I'm still just not sure what to do. We are doing a power session next week on May 18th, where we're going to talk about how advisors double the effectiveness of their prospect process, including the 5 mistakes that advisors are making in prospecting. And that's what we'll go through, Micah, what you and I do in our practices, what we've seen successful advisors that we coach do in their practices, so that you know exactly what reps to do to get to the results that you're trying for.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, so let's do some action items, right? The most important part about this is not just hearing us going for a monologue, but really diving into action items that's going to be there. So I'm going to say, number 1, start up with your reps on what are you going to do, right? Is it COIs? Is it seminars? Is it referrals? Is it content creation, right? There's 4 off the top of my head. Pick one of those, not all of them, and say, great, this is the one I'm going to do my reps on. And then create measurable activities that you're going to do with each of those things. Yeah,
I used to do it. I don't know if I ever told you this, Mike. I used to keep a stack of Reese's peanut butter cups, the small ones, on my desk. There'd be 15 of them, and I would, throughout the day, move them to the other side as I did my reps. Whatever I was working on, I would have 15 reps, and I would visually move them. And at the end of the day, I would slide them over, and I would stack them again. Perfect. So that I had that. It was the simplest thing. It would be, again, how many people did I say hello to? How many centers of influence did I call? And that's just what I would work on. And you might think to yourself, that's silly. That can't be what Jarvis does. He's running this multi-million-dollar practice. It's 100% what I do. It's 100% what I do.
It's so powerful to be able to see what you have completed at the end of the day, whether it's moving Reese's peanut butter, whether it's one sticky note, which is your to-do list, and you're lining things off that's going to be in there, right? But it's simple and it's achievable. It's not 5,000 Reese's peanut butters that you're just moving to count over. It's no, I have 15 to do. Yeah. This is very intentional. I love it.
I would say action item number 2, find someone who has proven success in whatever channel you're going to, and just ask them, hey, if you were me starting from scratch down this channel, what reps would I start with? So we mentioned about centers of influence, we mentioned about content, whatever that is, what rep could I start with today that I could do every single day? So find someone who has the outcome that you want, ask them, what reps would you do, and start on those reps.
Perfect. And then accountability. You need, this is something new, it's uncomfortable, you need some type of accountability wrapped around that. Maybe it's even extreme accountability to make sure you get these things done, because whenever we go into an area of discomfort, we're going to really want to naturally come back into this area of comfort, right? That's just our natural thing. So what's going to keep you there? We have to create something else that's so uncomfortable that if I don't do this, I'm going to be in a much more uncomfortable spot. That's extreme accountability. So where are you at with these things, and make sure you get it done.
The last action item I'm throwing, as we mentioned, we have a power session next week on May 18th on how to double the effectiveness of your prospect process. Visit theperfectria.com to register for that. Micah, we're bringing some of our best content, as we always do, on how we bring on tens of millions of dollars of new assets between our firms every single year.
Boy, and you better take a couple shots of espresso before that, because we have a lot of stuff to cover, and we are going to be flying through that. And we have a special surprise, actually, during that we will announce, and you guys are going to love it. We did it just for our members before. They absolutely loved it, so we have something special coming out, which is going to be outstanding.
I love it. Well, Micah, thank you so much. Getting those reps in. Until next time, happy planning.
Happy planning.